Hello, welcome to July. It's a new quarter. Ooh. A little bit of planning at the start of this vlog. I'm not going to make a separate planning video because I'm not doing kind of any big change to this process. But in July, I really want to start cracking on with those Illumicrate books. I have been a subscriber to Illumicrate. It's a book subscription box since it started, because it was founded by my friend Daphne, and I have therefore accumulated a lot of books. I have over the years given some of them away once I finished reading them, or sold them, very rarely. But for the most part, I have every single book that has ever been in the Illumicrate monthly box. And I only stopped getting the full boxes last year after I decided I just had too much stuff to keep getting them. So I switched to book only last year. And so I have lots and lots of boxes full of items that were in past Illumicrate boxes. So, yeah. When I started this TBR Zero project, actually it was before I even started the TBR Zero project, it was sort of concurrent at the same time. I had a project to read all of those past Illumicrate books, basically the Illumicrate backlog, if you will. And I started off trying to read them monthly, but then I realised some months had far too many books, because Illumicrate, when it first started, was a quarterly book box, and now it's a monthly book box. So for the first couple of years, there were only books coming out on specific months. So I found that there were some months with a really long list and some months with a really short list, and I could just not read all of the books on the months when there was a really long list. So I decided for this year to switch to doing it quarterly. And this has given me a bit more kind of energy towards the project, but I really have not made the headway that I wanted to. But I was thinking about it last month, when I was kind of planning what books I wanted to read and in what order, and I realised that they are probably the biggest problem out of all my books. Not just because the books themselves are such big hardbacks, but also because of those boxes full of items from boxes. You know, some of them I know I will probably want to keep once I've actually read the books that the item relates to. Others I will probably want to sell along with the book or give away. But I can't properly go through them and sort that out until I've read all of the books, because there are some cases where I want to sell the box as a whole thing, or as a partial thing if there are items I want to keep. So yeah, I feel like it is the biggest problem, so therefore I should prioritise it, right? And so at the start of July, I was like, right, that's what I'm going to do. And I did finish, this is actually one of the more recent ones, but I finished Song of Silver, Flame, Like Night, and reading this beautiful book. I really genuinely love getting to read these Illumicrate books, because it's just such a luxurious reading experience. I mean, this is stunning. It has a picture on the sprayed edges. It has art on the inside covers, and is it different on the back, or is it the same art? It's the same art. And underneath the dust jacket, it's super gorgeous as well. Look at that, it's just incredible. And yeah, so yeah, reading them, the physical book is a really pleasurable experience. But anyway, yes, so I finished this one, and I was like, right, on to the next one. I literally picked it up out of the shelf, and I was like, nah. I looked, I was like, is it this book? No, it's not this book. It's just that I don't want to read any fantasy. And so I decided that next I would finish off One Silver Summer, which I had started in, I think, the 3rd week of June, I want to say. 3rd, or I don't know, I can't remember at this point. But I just sort of grabbed it randomly to put on in my bag when I was going out to a friend's birthday drinks, and started reading it on the way there, read a bit more on the way back, and yeah, it just kind of suited my mood to have something light. It's a romance for young teens. It's just kind of fun and sweet, and involves some family tragedy, as well as some kind of I can't really describe this without spoiling the book, but some bigger drama, shall we say. So yeah, that was a fun, easy read. And then yeah, I just thought to myself, maybe what I should do is kind of alternate the type of book that I finish, rather than like just really going hardcore on the Illumicrate books, because I think I'm just gonna burn myself out on fantasy books. Like, I love fantasy books, but I feel like I start to not be able to appreciate them properly. I need a kind of break to read something else. I've long been a believer in a varied reading diet, and that's why I have so many books, you know. That's why I started this TBR Zero project to begin with. By the way, if you're new here and you don't know anything about my TBR Zero project, and yet you've already watched this far into the video, well done. Do check out my earlier videos, because I do explain the project in a lot more detail, explaining why I'm doing it and all of that, so I think you will enjoy that. But yeah, so yeah, I am at the moment partway through Along for the Ride, I think, by Sarah Dessen. So over the last month, as I've been sort of going through, you know, looking at bookshelves for various reasons, I've been having a little dig around to see if I could find books set during the summer, because I really love books set during the appropriate time of year. Like at Christmas, I really love reading books set at Christmas. And so yeah, I've been looking for summer books. I've made a little pile of them, which I now have to stand up and get, because I did not plan this video. I did not. Here's what we've got. This is the pile so far. I think all but one of these. Yes, I think all but one of these are contemporary YA books. Contemporary YA is like my home genre. It's kind of the genre I've always come back to, even though I am 37. That's still my home genre. I feel like it's the genre that I was really. It kind of imprinted on me because I was really in love with it as a teenager, and I read a lot of it. And then when I finished university, I read a lot of it to kind of like decompress and read in like serious English literature. Like that was kind of my go-to thing to kind of relax from. During my degree, I kind of read a lot of Buffy tie-in novels to alternate with my serious literature. But after my degree, I just went on like a massive contemporary YA thing, and yeah, that's kind of when I was a book blogger. I went to like a lot of contemporary YA events with various publishers and stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty invested in the genre, in the age category genre. I guess genre, because I'm saying specifically contemporary YA. But yeah, so yeah, I've made this little pile, and I figure like maybe what I'll do is I'll try and alternate with the fantasy books to kind of give myself a little break from the fantasy. Also, I often find contemporary YA to be so easy and quick to read. Like I just blow through it like that, and so it's a really good way to like speed up getting through the TBR pile. So yeah, I have all these Loot Crate books to read, and I've made it worse by also giving myself a little summer TBR. But you know, I'm fairly relaxed about all of this, so yeah, I'm just hoping that I get some reading done. So yeah, there we are. Where did I put the Sarah Dessen? I think it's in the bedroom, and I forgot to bring it here. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we're at. I think I will actually, although I did start the Sarah Dessen, I think I am going to read a Illumicrate book next. I feel like I might have the energy for fantasy back, but we'll see how it goes, and I will update you. Hello. It's been a while. I can't lie. It's now the 29th of July. Yeah, it's the 29th of July. All of that time has passed. Yeah, but I've been reading, and there is still 2 days left to make the most of it. After my last update, I finished reading on Audible audiobook The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle, which is subtitled The Secrets of Highly Successful Groups, and it was really, really interesting. It ties in really well with a lot of other reading I've done around community building and stuff like that. It's basically kind of like about how companies can onboard and support employees in order to keep them working there, but also create an effective working culture. It was really, really interesting. There's lots of stuff that's quite surprising. Goes back to like more how humans function as animals rather than how like intellectually we might think people would work. Then I finished finally, after many years, He Who Drowns the World by Shelley Parker Chan. I mean, to be fair, I also only started it this month. But it's one I've been meaning to get around to for absolutely ages after really enjoying the first book in this pair, which was called She Who Became the Sun. It is a sort of fantasy retelling of real events from Chinese history, and it is, there's no way to sugarcoat this book is like effed up. It is very dark. Some very horrible things happen to a lot of people in this book. People are very messed up in the head. Yeah, but it's utterly compelling, incredibly well written. I was completely engrossed. I couldn't put it down, apart from when I had to put it down to recover from what had just happened on the page. The villains in this are so villainistic. The hero has so many people who decide to do terrible things and kind of darken their own souls in order to support her and further her ambitions. It's just, yeah, it's very, very dark, tough going, but spectacular. Loved it. Then I needed some relief. I needed a break. I needed something totally not like that at all. So I read If You'll Have Me, which is a really, really adorable graphic novel that a couple of my friends recommended. It is a queer romance novel about a girl who develops a crush on this other girl who has a very bad reputation, and they quite clearly like each other, but can they work it out and resolve their very different romantic histories in order to be together? Well, I just said it's a romance graphic novel, so that kind of gave away the ending, but it's fun. It's a really, really fun, beautiful ride to go along. Then I read, and this one I got from NetGalley, the previous one I got from the library, Eat Your Heart Out Volume 1, which is a new book coming out from Eunnie Press. It is a kind of the first part in what will be a series of graphic novels about a girl called Blanca, who is an inspiring fashion designer, but her mum wants her to go to business school. So she, at the age of 18, runs away to New York to seek her fortune in the fashion world, and she basically gets adopted by a bunch of people who live together in this like big old brownstone that belongs to one of them. She ends up like helping a drag queen with fashion and exploring the city, and it's really, really fun. If you like stories set in New York, this one will be no exception, I'm pretty sure. It's just delightful and charming, and I'm really looking forward to volume 2. Then I finished Along for the Ride by Sarah Dessen, which I mentioned in my previous video, but didn't have to wave at you. Here we go. This is a pretty old copy, pretty beaten up. It was sold for 50p in a charity shop at some point because it says 50p on the inside. I don't think I bought this. I think I picked it up. Honestly, it could go away. I could have bought it. I've had this a very, very long time, so it was great to actually read it. It's about a girl who goes to stay with her father and his new wife and a new baby for the summer, and she has a lot of issues surrounding her parents and their divorce, and her parents are honestly like pretty troubled as well. And yeah, what I enjoyed the most about this was kind of seeing how she has to sort of work out her own stuff, and then her parents have to work out stuff, so it's not all just kind of on her. Like they've all got to go through some stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed that. And then I finished reading Group Living and Other Recipes, a memoir, which I got from NetGalley, and this is a sort of like recipe book and memoir combined, but I think it falls more on the memoir side. Gosh, was I even making videos at this point? I think I was making videos for this project. But anyway, like last year I read this book called Living Together by oh gosh, Mim, literally typing it into Mim Skinner, there we go, which is about group, like communal kind of living projects, various kinds that have happened over the years, but mostly current ones. So the author actually went round and visited some places. There's now a second edition out with some updates on Mim Skinner's own group living experiment that she's been doing. I believe she was part of one, has now moved to another, and so yeah, I do really want to read that that update, those updates, and that whatever changes have been made to the book. But anyway, back to group living and other recipes, which is by Lola Milholland. There we go. I really enjoyed this. I think if you liked Living Together, you enjoy this, and vice versa. Living Together is more sort of like a journalistic kind of look at group living, communal living attempts, whereas group living is all about the author's experiences, but also those of her family. So it's kind of much closer, because she lives in a family where a lot of people have been involved in various group living projects. So she lives in a house that her mum owns with her brother and several friends. Her aunt and uncle live in a sort of like communally owned kind of residential development where they have like a common house and they have gardens and things like that. And yeah, she talks about like her own history, her family history. She goes to spend some time with various relatives and meet some other people during the course of the book. But as well as talking about group living, or sort of kind of complementing that, she talks a lot about food. It's a food memoir. So she has recipes from various people, kind of put in key points in the kind of story of her life and her experience of group living and her family's experience of group living. And I really loved this. It was just really kind of brought you into her world. And the word of her family and all the things that people believe in. Like they're quite a kind of hippie kind of family, but at the same time they're not sort of like they're not so kind of absorbed by their own beliefs that they don't have kind of a realistic kind of idea of how the world is. Like, you know, the kind of essentially essentially the message of this book is that just because it's hard, and just because you're not making that much progress, just because you're not, you know, influencing people massively, doesn't mean it's not worth doing. You know, you should still say the things you want to say and live the way you want to live. And, you know, hopefully that this will become part of something larger eventually. You know, it takes a very long time to have social change. But yeah, it's really interesting. It talks a lot about like the kind of the dynamics, and you know, the author admits that she had never really thought about the fact that she has privilege in her group living situation because her mother owns a house, until the pandemic happened and one of her housemates decided to move out, because every day the author was like going to her job. She owned a food business, and because he was vulnerable, because he had various health issues, he didn't feel safe. So he decided to just move out without discussing it, and she felt kind of put out that they hadn't discussed it. But at the end of the day, it's not like they could ask her to move out because her mother owned the house. So, you know, she kind of accepted that, as painful as it was, that this was the best choice in the end. But it was difficult because she was kind of like, you know, like, we do everything as a group at first. Why are we making this decision as a group? But actually it was a personal decision. So it's really kind of interesting to kind of get that the sort of like reflections on what it's been like and the ups and downs and the power dynamics that in an ideal world wouldn't be there, but in reality actually are there and influence everything. So there we go. I really, really enjoyed that. Can you tell? So now I am in the middle of Happy Place by Emily Henry. My whole came through at the library, so I started that. I am reading, I'm partway through, Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. This is a Illumicrate book, and I picked to start reading this one because the other day they posted on social media they were low on stock on the sequel. So I thought I'm going to read this so I can buy the sequel in case it goes out of stock. So yeah, I'm trying to do that. And I am about to start of Jade and Dragons by Chen, which was last month's Illumicrate book, and is the current subject of the read-along, which started today. So yeah, hoping to start that soon. In my ideal world, I would love to finish this book this month, and also finish Drummer Girl by Bridget Tyler, which was on my little summer TBR that I showed you in the previous update. I did start reading another book from that TBR, but I DNF'd it. It just wasn't for me, so I am actually I'm actually onto the second book in that TBR now. Third book. I forgot that Along for the Ride was also on that pile. So yeah, I started Drummer Girls today, and I'm enjoying it so far. So it'd be really, really cool if I could finish it through the power of work, lunch breaks, and commuting before the end of the month, because that would really help up my TBR books versus non-TBR books count. Yeah. July so far has been slower than I hoped, mainly because, and this is the reason for the long gap between updates, we went to Berlin for 5 days, yeah, in order to attend a wedding and then enjoy the city and do some sightseeing while we were there. And so preparing for that and being there took up quite a lot of time, especially the preparation phase. I was like trying to like clean my house and everything, so I didn't get to read as much as I wanted to during that time. Oh, there's another book I'd really love to finish. Obviously Happy Place, I would love to finish that, but also The Membership Economy, which is a book of which is a kind of business book like I'm listening to via Audible. I would love to finish that this month. It was going along with it really quickly, so I don't know, but as I say, there's only 2 days left. I can't do all this stuff in 2 days, but we'll see. I don't have anything planned for tomorrow evening, I think. There was something I was considering going out and doing, but I don't think it's realistic. I think I've just like kind of burned myself out, to be honest with you. I've been doing so much, I've been so busy. So I think I need to have a break, and I think I just need to stay at home and read. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. Hello! I'm back. It is now August. July is over. July is no more. I can't read any more books in July, and I didn't. So I am just here to give you the tally, really, and reflect on the month. So the good news is that it was a 50-50 split between TBR books and non-TBR books, if we count Audible books as being TBR books. So I think we should, because I need to get rid of those Audible ones. So although officially my 50-50 is about physical books and books I don't own, and Audible's a whole separate thing. For the purposes of this month, let's pretend, because it makes me feel good. So I finished 3 print books that were on my TBR. I finished 1 Audible audiobook. I finished 2 ebooks from the library and 2 ebooks from NetGalley. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I didn't go massively off the rails. I didn't do outstandingly well, but yeah, it's there, and I'm happy with that-ish. I would like to see some faster progress. I feel like Audible is really the thing that's dragging me down, to be honest with you, and I want to change that. So my biggest priority now is going to be for August, trying to get rid of Audible. But I'm not going to spend like time that I would be sitting down reading a print book on Audible. I'm just going to try and like prioritize it over YouTube and podcasts and everything else. Like if I am doing something with my hands, if I am walking, if I'm on my way to work, I've got to be listening to an audible audiobook. Like, literally. On the way to the gym, even if I'm not actually going to use the machines, even if I'm going to swim, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. While I'm getting ready for bed, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. While I'm getting ready in the morning, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. While I'm doing chores, audiobook. You name it. I'm going to be there doing it, listening to an audiobook from Audible so I can get this list down and be free of Audible, because it is just... I think it's just like one place too many to deal with, right? Because I've got my physical TBR, I've got my library holds, and like I trimmed the library holds down a couple of years ago. Like I stopped like using 3 different apps and 2 different libraries, audiobook services. I now just have Libby, and that's all I use. I don't use BorrowBox anymore. I don't use, what's the other one? uLibrary. Yeah. I feel like there was another one. There was another service as well at some point, but I think it got bought by Libby. So that one sort of got rid of itself. But yeah, like I have just been doing Libby, and like, yeah, I would love to get back to a place where I can use all those apps again. But while I have such a big physical TBR, no, it's just Libby. I'm only allowed to do Libby. I'm only allowed to do Libby unless it's like a book club or something. Can I get it on one of the other apps? You know, that is my one exception. My one exception. I used to use them all back in the day, and no TBR progress was made. This is why I had to do it. But yeah, I'm going to just pretend like a Libby doesn't exist. Actually, that's a lie. I can't do that because I borrowed a book. Yeah, I borrowed a couple of books. I can't pretend that Libby doesn't exist because I've got some library books that I have to read. But I am going to, yeah, I'm not going to borrow it anymore, I think. I'm going to keep hitting that deliver later until I'm done with Audible. So yeah, I'll listen to and read the ones that I've currently got out, but otherwise it's going to be Audible. Audible. I've got to get free of Audible. So yeah, there we go. That's my plan for August. That will be month 14. Thank you very much for watching my month 13 vlog, and I hope to see you in the comments. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned this month and what you thought of them, and if you're doing a TBR 0 project, I would love to hear about it, whether you're documenting it here on YouTube or on another social media platform, or just doing it for your own joy and future freedom. Thank you so much for watching. You'll see me again soon. Bye.